Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I've decided to give an example on the way I'm doing my research. What do I do when I analyze the company for the potential investments, and how do I look at it from which sides. And today I was motivated to make a video about one really small company. Its capitalization is about 1 billion euros, which is very small in the world of public companies. And as you can see from this webpage, it's a company called Cadeler, which is based in Denmark, the company which is related to the maritime industry, and to be specific, for the wind industry. This company owns and operates the special purpose vessels. Let me show you. They've got 12 vessels in their portfolio. However, only 9 are in operation. 3 of them are still in the construction. This one, new build in the construction, Wind Ace and Wind Apex. So all other vessels, 9 of them, are within the fleet. They are operational, and majority of them are making money at the moment. What do the company say about itself? That it's a leading global partner in offshore wind farm construction, maintenance and decommissioning. And I've compared this company to the competitors, and they are really leading the industry in terms of the size of the fleet. There are a few more companies like Belgian Demi Group. Also, there is a Dutch company Boskalis, which is a huge player in the maritime industry, but their fleet is very diversified. This company has only the vessels which are involved into the wind generation offshore. So why did I pay attention to this company? First of all, my morning routine starts when I do my work, my research on investments. I check at the webpage, which is called Splash 24/7, and this is the source of news related to the different kind of sectors in maritime industry. I typically choose offshore, just because my background comes from here. And as you can see, the latest news is about Mr. Trump, that he is again proposing more drilling. So as you probably know, under Trump, America decided to focus again on the oil and gas drilling, exploration, production, etc. And actually he made a very bad sentiment around wind energy, and he was trying to ban, and he actually banned few projects. However, one of them was restarted. In general, US gives now the sentiment of the wind industry as a very non-efficient, very expensive way to deliver the energy. And that's why a lot of companies struggle. And it made me to think, okay, so the sentiment is really bad within the industry. However, we know that already a lot of wind farms at sea, they have been operational for years. Even if you think that they're going to be totally abandoned or cancelled or end of the wind energy, these wind farms won't stay at sea just abandoned. There will be some companies who will remove the wind turbines. Still, they have to be maintained, because the wind farms which are in operation now, all these assets have to be maintained, and they can be maintained only when there is access to it with the special purpose ships like these ones. So I thought that this segment and this business is still ongoing, and nevertheless US now dictates that it's not needed. When you scroll the news, actually everywhere, but in US it's still ongoing. You can see here the headlines: Abu Dhabi ports to support Masdar's offshore wind projects under new pact. I'm not going to open the news. Philippines kicks off 3.3 gigawatt fixed bottom offshore wind tender. Then Skyborn awards, etc., etc. So, and actually, if I open here only renewables section, you will find lots of news related to the wind industry, where you can see that it's still ongoing. And when you go to the company webpage and you're gonna see where they operate, as this specific one, then you will find their map here, and you'll see that the majority of their projects are within Europe. It's on Baltic Sea or North Sea. Anyway, it's in the Europe. Some of them are in Asia, and they recently opened their new office in Taipei, and only just a few ones in US. So this company is not focused for the US market. However, the green energy, this sentiment from US, it's also affecting the company stock price, which is good from the investment perspective. Okay, what I wanted to pay attention to. Let's go to the trend of the company. So for now, if we open, let's open for the whole time. So this is the company which was listed in December 20, and its price now at the levels. It's first of all, the company I opened here is it's a Danish company, but it's listed in two stock exchanges. It's Oslo Stock Exchange in Norway, and it's in Norwegian crowns here. So the price you see, it's Norwegian crowns, and also there is in US, so you can buy it in US dollars. So now the price as of today is 41.7 Norwegian crowns. So this price was back in 21. This price was also in 2 years ago here. But we can check how the company business has been doing during all these times. Is this business still the same as it was 2 years ago, or is it progressing? Typically, I start checking the company fundamentals in a trading view section here. So I just go for the financials and look briefly here. Look, this is the earnings per shares section. This is the revenue. You can see that in 2023 the earnings per share of EPS was less than 1 Norwegian krone. Now 2025, it's not yet completed. Just recently they announced their third quarter results, and we'll come to it a bit later. The company reaffirmed their outlook, and it's the updated one, so they expect more or less 7.9 Norwegian crowns. So compare 7.9 to earn this year and less than 1 Norwegian crown 2 years ago. Just to remind you that it was at the same price levels here. Let's see the revenue. For this year they plan 7 billion Norwegian crowns of revenue, and it's gonna spark according to the, and this everything that you see over behind 2025, it's analyst projections. So it's not a steel deal, but we can somehow rely on it as well. So the projection is that the company will grow more than 50% next year, and it's gonna grow 2027 again, and then some kind of decrease in 2028, but I think it's too far to look at. But anyway, for the next few years the substantial growth is planned. Also, if you have a look on the balance sheet of the company, where you can see all the assets, liabilities and total equity, so you can see in 2023 it was less than 11 billion Norwegian crowns. In the quarter 3 2025 it's 17 billion, almost 11 and 17. This is the total equity of the company, how it's been improving over the years. And again, the stock price is the same as 2-3 years ago. Next, you can familiarize yourself with the vessels here, but the whole point is that the company in about 1 year plans to operate 12 vessels. So let me open the press release of the earnings report for the Q3, which was released just 5 days ago, where they, first of all, as they say, full year guidance is reaffirmed as the company continues to execute on its long-term growth strategy. Even with this bad sentiment, where the contracts in the US being cancelled, the company still plans to grow within their projections which they made in the beginning of the year. What they say that in the first 9 months of 2025, generated revenue was up 178% in comparison with the same period in 2024. So it's the company itself saying that we are still growing. And looking forward, they are saying that they are planning to grow even further. It's worth mentioning that the company has a huge backlog. Just to remind you that the capitalization of the company is slightly above than 1 billion euros. And for now, their order backlog, the contracts backlog, has grown to nearly 9 billion euros. So they've got contracts worth 2.5 times more than the company capitalization. Speaking about backlog, when you see this number that they have contracts worth about 2.9 billion euros, it's not kind of the number that you can rely on definitely. When you evaluate the company from investment perspective, you need to understand the risks that the company have. And when I go to Google Gemini to assist me with some data and speaking about the robust backlog, and it's actually in the key valuation driver section, so it's a kind of positive moments why would you invest in it. And when it says about the order book that they've got, they say that the term as project security, that the approximately 78% of the backlog relates to the projects where the client has made a positive final investment decision, making the contract cancellation unlikely without significant financial compensation. So there is still some risk that the company won't have whole amount of money, which is mentioned here, that it's more or less 80%, nearly 80% secured, but still there are some risks that might happen. And usually if you go to the risks which Mr. Gemini suggests us to look at, one of them is high capital intensity and debt. If you think, yeah, the company which builds the ships, quite huge ships, it's an asset heavy company, and obviously to make it quite massive expenses needed, and that's what they say. The massive fleet expansion requires significant debt financing, any difficulty securing financing, rising interest rates, etc. So basically what they say, one of the risks is they have a big debt. Actually, the net debt was 1.2 billion. If you think again how much of the backlog they have for the upcoming years, 2.9 billion. Then if you look at the equity, we looked at it earlier, what they've got 17 billion in assets. It's in Norwegian crowns, so it's gonna be approximately 1.5 more or less billion euros in assets and in equities. So basically what they say is that the high capital intensity and debt is one of the key risks, and it's fair enough when the company has a big debt. Any major difficulty in economy might make some headwinds to the company, but again, now when the interest key rate is going down slowly but steadily, it should not be an issue, again, considering the backlog they've got. Next one, the key risk for the company would be the projection execution risk. Obviously, when the company has different contracts, different projects, and related to the heavy machinery, there always are some risks of delay, some construction inabilities, some maintenance issues, etc. So will they be able to execute well as they plan? So it might be a risk as well, but I believe the company takes it into consideration as well. And then the third one that is provided here is cyclicality and competition. And this one I would, me personally, I would ignore, because now we are actually at the very bottom in this cycle, I would say, considering the rhetorics of US president and how bad the sentiment is around the green energy. And you probably don't hear it anymore as often as we used to hear about 2 years ago about wind energy, solar energy. Now almost no one speaks about it. So I would consider that this is actually the bottom of this cycle. And even I don't even see what can make worse the sentiment now. And the biggest economy in the world saying, okay, we don't need wind energy anymore. It's already kind of the worst sentiment as could be. And this risk actually is already in place now. But there are also quite a lot of drivers. As we spoke about the risks, we need to understand what are the catalysts. So as we spoke earlier, the order backlog, it's a huge. Then the project security, again, we mentioned it, so nearly 80% are quite secure. Sorry, I didn't mention about competition during the risks. And as I said before, there are only few competitors to this company, and they are much smaller than the Cadeler. I speak about the quantity of the vessels. So coming back to the drivers. Asset security. The company's strategy of operating the largest, most advanced fleet, expected 12 vessels by mid-2027, positions it to service the newest, larger scale offshore wind turbines. So they are able to operate, to work with the biggest wind turbines. And the lack of comparable available vessels in the global fleet grants Cadeler substantial pricing power. So this company is a leading one within the industry. Also, we've got some multiples here, and they look really attractive. When the company price to earnings ratio is 5.5, and this company is considered to be as a growth company. For the growth company who is expecting to have the earnings increase for the next few years about 50% or so, and they don't pay dividends, so basically everything they earn goes to the business again. This 5.5 price to earnings is extremely low. Yeah, and Gemini also provides here the estimated fair value, which is based on the analyst's point of view. Analyst 12-month price target would be a huge range from 45 Norwegian crowns to 85, and the average target would be 71.7 Norwegian crowns, which is roughly 80% higher than price now. It's up to you to believe these numbers or not. I personally look at it just with one eye, because so often these numbers don't correspond to the actual situation. Next, when I speak about company research, etc., what do I mean by research? It's not about just looking at the price trend and thinking, okay, so today the price went down, that's why I need to buy it, or today is going up and that's why these price moves matter. Why they moved up and down? Is it just because of the global crisis or global bad sentiment, or it's industry related news, or is it a company specific news? And look, with these also small companies, there is one issue that usually happens, that there is a lack of information. When there is something happens with Amazon or Apple, you will go to the web pages like Bloomberg, like investing.com, and it will be the heading straight away there, okay, Apple has some issues there and there. But with the companies like that, you need to go and check yourself. First of all, the first and primary source, it's gonna be the company webpage itself. So you go, if you own the company or if you follow it, you go to the news section and you see, okay, the latest one was about the earnings release. All right, so no updates. But there are also some sources where you can follow. For example, here in the trading view, you go to the latest updates and you can see that 3 hours ago there was insider information. Here, look, you've got here some news which are not even described properly what's going on. Just because I've seen it quite a lot, I know that there is this news is related to the insider information. If you scroll down, then you will find a link here to the Oslo Bourse, which is a Norwegian stock exchange. You copy it, then you go paste. So now you are here in this web page. Then it's still not clear what's going on. Then you open this attachment, and when you open this attachment, so once you open this attachment, you can see that it's a report. Usually when the insiders of the company, who are the insiders? This is the member of the board of directors or the people related to these people. They make major or buys or sales or executing their grants. They have to report. And this gentleman of the company, let's see, closely associated person to this name, member of the board of directors, they bought shares worth around 500,000 Norwegian crowns at this date, at this price. And this is something that makes you think, okay, so the company delivered a very robust earnings report. They beat the analyst expectations in terms of profit and revenue. They reaffirmed their guidance for the whole year. They are saying that their vessels are being delivered within the time frame, so there is no delays. Also, they mentioned that they won this and that contract, so there is their backlog. So you think, okay, the company is still strong, the business is doing fine. And when you look the price, so this is when the earnings release happened. The price in the beginning, I'll show you, went up nearly 7%. And then during the next days it was falling down, just because the whole market was going down. It went down nearly 14%. And at this time we see the insider trading. So they are buying shares at the price of 40 Norwegian crowns. And when you combine all this information all together, you are making some kind of work which you can rely on. And if you're gonna make an investment decision, you already understand, okay, I invested in this company because of this and that. You've got quite a few arguments for it, so you know all the advantages, disadvantages, and you understand the more or less what is estimated fair price. Do you think the company is worth now the same as it was like 2 and even like 4 years ago? And again, if you look at their estimates for the upcoming years, and which everything says that they are going to progress and develop, Obviously, yeah, we keep in mind that there might be risks with the macroeconomic, etc. But still, I can see it as a really nice opportunity. I don't recommend to do investment in this company just based on what I've just said. You can always do your own research, and please do it, because I might also not see some risks involved. But to me, this is quite a good example of the company I could invest and to sleep well. Again, it depends on how much of your portfolio you would like to allocate to this specific company. Again, it's a small one, they don't pay dividends. It's just a growth company which is based in Denmark, listed in Norway and US as well. This was my example how I do research, and quite often I also check YouTube. If it's a well-known big company, you will find a lot of information, a lot of researches being uploaded already. You can watch, you can agree or disagree with that, you can make your thoughts about it, but this is the rough example how I do it, and this is what actually the work of the investor consists of. So it takes time, it takes some efforts as well, and this is just one example, and then you need to follow it anyway. Right, I hope this information was a little bit useful, and I'll keep on tracking this company specific, which is not popular, not common, but once the sentiment around the green energy and wind energy in specific will improve, we'll see how the company, the stock will perform accordingly. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope it was useful, and I appreciate if you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.